As Flight 417 ascended amid the clouds, the cabin was filled with the sound of jet engines, and the aroma of freshly ground coffee blended with faint perfume. Executives in business class were mostly seated, with laptops and phones wrapped in their respective worlds of success. However, in seat 3, there was an individual who didn't seem to belong. A father who was single and wearing a denim jacket clutching his young daughter tightly. Her eyes were red from the tears, and her hands clutches an inflatable bunny as if it were her lifeline. A well-groomed woman in navy suit moved awkwardly, giving them sharp looks. She was known for her calm demeanor and snobbish remarks. She sighed loudly and the child sniffed again, clearly irritated. The man, who was later identified as Daniel Brooks, a 35-year-old retired Air Force pilot and small-town mechanic. The ticket had cost him almost all of his savings, but it was still worth it. He was flying his daughter Lily to New York for a critical heart surgery. His story went unnoticed, with only his scuffed boots and economical clothing among the suits being visible. Lily whimpered with a soft voice, causing Victoria to roll her eyes. "Business class should be for you," she whispered again. Daniel looked out the window, his heart twitching, not realizing that he was used to being judgmental. Since his wife's passing, it had been chasing him. The engines roared loudly as the plane ascended into the perfect blue sky, and the flight attendants shuffled through the aisles, serving breakfast trays. It seemed like nothing happened abruptly, but there was no violent jolt. The laptops tumbled to the floor, passengers shivered, and the cockpit lights flickered, then dimmed slightly. There was a hushed sound from the cabin. The panic escalated quickly. The captain's voice broke through the intercom, strained and unresponsive. "This is your captain. We're in the midst of a severe hydraulic breakdown." "It's important to stay composed in this cabin." Individuals screamed. Oxygen masks were suspended from the ceiling. The flight staff attempted to maintain order, but fear flooded the air. Victoria's face paled in comparison as she held the armrest. Her previous self-aggrandizement turned into skepticism. Then, another voice appeared from the pilot, who was more desperate than ever. "If anyone with aviation experience, be it military or commercial, would like to come aboard, please do so immediately." The words hung in the air before the captain appeared in business class, his eyes wide open. He abruptly halted near Daniel's row. "I'm curious if you were Daniel Brooks. You were listed on the manifest with an Air Force record." With a scream in her voice, Victoria turned her gaze towards Daniel. The man she taunted, who was sitting beside her crying child, was now being asked to assist in flying the plane. A mixture of calm and determination. "Yes, sir." "What's going on with the F-16 pilot who defected?" The captain lurched back and forth due to hydraulic failure. "We've lost control of the tail and one engine is overheating. It's 30 minutes away from the nearest safe landing area. I need another set of hands." Daniel held Lily up and gave her to the flight attendant. He stayed by her side with a whisper and then looked up at Victoria, whose eyes were wide open with courage and her with silent guilt. He then followed the captain towards the cockpit, indexing right before we proceed. "If you have faith in the concept of hope, courage, and benevolence, please take a moment to follow us. Your actions can help us bring more heartfelt stories to life." Alarms rang inside the cockpit. Warning lights flashed. With a stoic demeanor, Daniel climbed into the co-pilot's seat. His training began to pay off. "Leave me some training," he said. The captain gave him brief briefings in short clips. Daniel examined the instruments. "We're dealing with asymmetric thrust. If the left engine malfunctions, we'll spiral. We must manually reroute power and stabilize the tail." The captain nodded from his seat, his forehead drenched in sweat. "Do you believe it can be done?" Daniels muttered. "We have no other option." He took control of the control yoke. The muscles were tense. As the turbulence set in, the plane slowed down and lurched backward. Dark clouds enveloped the sky. The captain's knuckles widened on the throttle. Daniel adjusted flaps, recalibrated the angle of descent, and manually overturned the hydraulic assist. The cabin was a constant battleground between gravity, fear, and destiny. Chaos had transformed into hushed terror, with passengers clutching each other tightly. As Victoria sat motionless, her thoughts reverberated in her ear. The only thing remaining was that the man she had previously disregarded as untrustworthy was now alive. She looked towards the cockpit door and said, "Please, please, let him make it." Minutes passed like a dream. The plane sprang to dangerous levels, and Daniel's arms trembled. He didn't give in and told him to stay together. The captain signaled, "We'll fly to the nearest airfield for an emergency landing." Smoke emanated from the left engine. Daniel manually adjusted the descent, adjusting the flaps inch by inch, while the control stick fought back strongly. "Hydraulics are no longer operational." He yelled, "Be prepared for impact." The plane crashed hard onto the runway, and its tires began to rattle. The luggage then flew off from the overhead recycling bins. The metal body shuddered violently as sparks engulfed it. Daniel fought back with all his might to control the aircraft. It veered sideways, then slowed down, groaning and dragging until it stalled. Silence arose. The cabin was filled with cries of relief, gasps of disbelief, and a sense of gratitude. The captain's voice shook as he realized that they had saved 216 lives. He said, "I just did what I was trained to do." I exhaled deeply, leaning back. The emergency crews surrounded the plane as soon as passengers arrived, with Lily running into her father's arms in a tearful state. "Daddy, did you feel afraid?" "Just a little, but I had to be brave for you," she said softly. Victoria stood several feet away, tears streaming down her face as she watched the reunion. Her expensive suit was smudged, her hair slightly blonde, and pride had vanished for the first time. With remorse, she moved closer to her, her eyes filled with shame. "Mr. Brooks, I owe you a debt of apology," she said. "Despite my mockery, you have been able to rescue us all." Daniel nodded and gleefully smiled. "If there's anything I can do for you or your daughter, he wouldn't be bothered. The next time, just be considerate. That's all there is to it." Victoria wiped away a tear as she felt something change inside her for the first time in years. The heart could hold both success and compassion. As the lights flickered, Daniel lowered Lily into his arms and strode towards the ambulance awaiting their arrival at the hospital. Victoria muttered to herself, "This is the one guy I felt didn't belong to. Come with me." After several weeks, news outlets worldwide reported on news of a plane's hydraulic failure, with social media expressing gratitude for the hero status of the individual. The only thing that mattered was that Lily's surgery was a success and she was smiling again. As they were sitting by the hospital window and watched the sunset, she gestured to the sky. "Daddy, will you one day fly?" Daniel asked. "At this moment, I only desire to be with you." He hugged her tightly, feeling the warmth of her heart. He knew that courage, love, and hope could keep anyone from dying in their despair.